especially in dirt track racing. As bad as I hate to say it, I mean I'm dying to get back at the track.
Me too.
But we're just hammered down 12 months of the year now, and you know we're going to have a break, and I think when this is over,
Yeah,
these tracks are going to explode.
I believe so too.
Same with baseball. The stadiums are going to be full. People's ready to get out, and I think we're going to see some great competition, and we're going to see some great crowds and a resurgence of all of these sports.
I certainly hope so, Mike. I cover a lot of pavement short track races. I feel like there's a little bit more apprehension over on that end because a lot of these pavement tracks, I mean, they kind of struggle to make money as it is. I mean, I've seen the crowds at dirt track races before. They look like weekly races can bring in a pretty solid crowd. I mean, short tracks around my end, I mean, sometimes they could do that. I mean, Ace Speedway gets pretty good crowds all the time, but at other tracks, it's a bit of a harder feat to accomplish. So I'm not sure. For one, I can imagine what this is going to do to late model teams. I mean, they are probably going to feel a bit of a pinch once things get back going, but the tracks, they're going to feel a pretty big pinch too. So I'm going to be working on some stuff with Race 22, trying to figure out where these tracks stand from an economic standpoint, and keep in mind, depending on how much longer this goes on, it could be better if it's a shorter lockdown, or it could be worse if it's a longer lockdown. So there's a lot of questions on this end that have yet to be answered. Hopefully everything can go back to normal once things do start back up, but you're going to see some effects from this, though. I mean, I feel like a broken record. I hate to say it, but I feel like that's what's going to happen. Like, there will be some effects that will be noticeable once things get back going. I can only hope they recover quickly after that.
Daniel Moore.
To be honest, I'm not too up to date on the racing. It's not really my.
I'm just talking about sports in general. Sports, and not just racing. Sports.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do agree. I think as a whole, I think people are going to be ready to fill in stadiums. Be it, I mean, some of the major sports are going to be over, but by the time football rolls back around, and with the NHL, they've come out and said that they're going to kind of do their playoffs in October, so that way we're still going to get the playoff hockey, and so it's big for me. I'm big into hockey, so that's exciting for me that we're not going to miss out, because the Canes,
they're looking good. They're looking good.
They were on a good little hot streak. So, I mean, I think they've been on a roller coaster season this year. So, I mean, for me as a fan, I wanted to see if we can make another kind of miraculous run like we did last year. But unfortunately, with all this going on, it's kind of taking the winds out of the sails there. But I mean, it's good that when the seasons do start back around and all of this is finally over, I do think that people are going to be hitting the stands and ready to cheer on their teams again. So it'll be finally good.
Here's my take on it. Brandon, if you want to elaborate on that, go ahead before I expel.
Well, I do agree with Daniel is saying. I think there is going to be a need to go back out and go to sporting events, do other things like go to movies, like other stuff like that. There's going to be a need for that. There's going to be that urgency because everyone's been inside for so long. But the thing is, like, you have to take into account that when things get back going, there's probably going to be a good chunk of people who are either unemployed or trying to work their way back up to the point where they're making a decent salary. So what I think one thing that all these sports organizations, including NASCAR, what they need to do is that they need to, when the stadium's open, like, lower the ticket prices just a little bit. Like, make this affordable so that people can come back to it. And then once there's like a steady, like, things recover, like, get them back to where they were like close to where they were before.
Hey, Brandon, and I'll go even further than that, buddy.
Yes,
I would even say, these sporting organizations were so desperate at one time, considering doing NCAA basketball, doing NASCAR events at Atlanta and Homestead, doing things without the fans being present in the crowd. and I work within that inner circle. They make their money off of the TV contracts, off of those big money things. Either cut the tickets back, or I would even say let the fans get in free. And you're going to make more money back by the concession stands and by souvenirs and things that are bought by memorabilia. They need to do something to give back to the fan. Whether it's NASCAR, whether it's motorsports, dirt track, or not dirt track racing, whether it's MLB, Major League Baseball, NHL hockey, NFL, and let's be honest here. The only people that have really not got affected by this is the NFL. Who would have freaked out if we wouldn't have had the Super Bowl back on February the 2nd?
Yeah.
Man, that would have been disastrous.
Their season just happened to end at, I mean, not a good time, but good time for lack of a better term, but they did get lucky with
exactly. I mean, let's be honest, Mike Guerin. The NFL are the lucky dogs in this whole fiasco. I mean, they're missing training and they're missing some medicine ball training and practice and training camps and shit like that. But they're not playing any games. They're not doing anything except possibly going to do the draft. But they said they're not. They're going to do the NFL draft, but they're not going to have it where fans can be present. So it's like they're really not losing on anything NFL wise.
Right. Well, Bleacher Report actually ran an article today. I hadn't actually had a chance to read it, but I read the headline, and more or less it was just talking about the going on, and maybe not so much. I mean, it does affect the NFL teams too, because I'm sure they're doing a decent amount of scouting at this the off season. But as far as college teams, they're really suffering from this a lot because they're not able to get out and scout like they would be able to. So I mean, I don't want to say that it's going to affect the sports. I mean, the athletes are still going to be out there regardless. I mean, and the scouts will have time to find these names that, haven't been found yet. But
whether you find
it is affecting us at this point.
Exactly. Whether you find this to be a hoax, a joke, blown out of proportion or not, it had to have been something to make the NCAA, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, if you don't know what NCAA means in syllables, to stop the entire basketball conference tournaments and shut down the entire NCAA tournament for men and women and cancel sports. I got an email from some statistics reading an email the other day. They lost $375 million in lost revenue. In not just the tournament, not just March Madness for men and women, but gentlemen, also for the entire spring program. It's all gone. $375 million, that's a lot of money.
It is, but when you can take into effect how contagious this thing is, especially since the United States reports about 15,000 cases a day as of right now, I mean, it was well worth it to, temporarily shut all of this down. I mean, we want to flatten the curve. Like, you guys have heard that phrase multiple times, flatten the curve. That means stay at home, social distance when you are out and about. We have to stop the spread of this so that things can go back to normal in this country. And right now, with 15,000 cases a day or something like that, we're still a little ways off from flattening the curve countrywide. So, great. It was a tough decision that all these sporting organizations had to make, but it was the right one by every stretch of the imagination.
Mike Aaron.
I completely agree. And both Daniel and Brandon brought up some good points. Sports, we have our seasons. However, it's a 365, organization. They have their season, then they have their scouting, they have their training. It never stops.
That's right.
And even though, like we say, NFL's not in season, it is impacting them in some ways, along with the college football. And go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
I'm just rambling. Old man rambling.
That's what round table's about, brother.
Well, I was to piggytail off what you were saying. I mean, you're right. Piggyback. Sorry. Well, we do things our own way here at CRN.
Yeah. Right.
But to piggyback off of what you were saying, they are all businesses at the end of the day. So
yes,
that's one thing as fans we kind of sometimes don't understand. Like I'm a fan, or I'm a follower on plenty of. I mean, I'm a Panthers fan, so. I'm a follower on a few different Panthers groups on Facebook, and I mean, these people were just freaking out. Oh, well, we're losing Cam, we're losing, this name and that name. And, well, I mean, neither here nor there. I mean, he
losing Cam Newton had a damn thing nothing to do about the coronavirus. They should have gave him his damn walking papers
definitely
2
not.
years ago, in my opinion. Seriously.
I don't know about that. I mean, I still don't think they should have got rid of him, but I mean, it is what it is.
But he did it. Okay, hang on a minute. Now we got something we're going to debate about here. We got
let's
something
go.
started. Ring the damn ring bell here.
I'm ready. Let's go. I got my pen and pad, so I can piggytail off the more stuff.
There you go, and I'm going to help stone you along the way. Okay, we'll do. So listen, he was he was a horrible quarterback. Okay.
Whoa.
He was not. Listen. Hang on a minute.
I'm hear you. I'm hear you.
You spill your guts and I'll spill mine. Opinions are they're like assholes. So listen. So like we're painting a picture here about why Cam Newton's the greatest and he's Superman and he comes out and he goes rips his does his thing with his shirt at the fire to the flames blah blah blah. I've seen it all. My brother adores the guy. I used to like Cam Newton. But there was a time where Cam became a showboat. He became more of like trying to impress the media and more of trying to just be a model for himself. There was a time where he used to take the football, throw it in the grandstands, give it to a fan, $1,000 fine, blah, blah, blah. Great, fine, whatever. You make millions. Who gives a damn? You could do it. But when you selfishly are hurt playing football and you continue to play, you don't tell nobody you're hurting. You're playing for your team. You run your team down. You do not play to the best of your ability. I mean, come on, guys. Seriously, the last year and a half, let's be honest here. Since the Super Bowl and the beginning of the season after the Super Bowl, when they lost to Denver, in a shitty performance to the Broncos, might I add, by Cam Newton. Come on, let's be honest. Look
man, he got cheated, man. No.
Oh, wow.
No. I can pull up. I mean, if it would take me a minute to find it on YouTube, but I guarantee you, I could pull up footage. I will send it to you. And if you tell me that some of them calls were not BS, Wesley, I don't know, but we'll have to.
Daniel, I'll do you one better. What I want both of you to do is go back and rewatch Super Bowl 50 and count how many times the Panthers receivers dropped the passes.
Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. That was a big problem too. That was a big problem too. You're 100% right.
Listen, my thing is this. If you lose a game, you win a game, you blame the referees, whatever you want to call it. Stop making damn excuses for the team. Okay? We win. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. You win and you lose as a team. And let's be honest here, since Cam Newton lost in the Super Bowl, and then he started that season, and he got knocked down, and he got hurt. He's played hurt for almost 2 years, and his performance shows from it. He comes out of the gate, sometimes he's strong, sometimes he's good. But then, when somebody knocks him on his ass a couple of times, he folds. He cannot handle being the quarterback that he was when he was at Auburn. I just don't see it. And whoever picks him up, whether it's Miami, whether it's Washington, listen, and I'll let you go, Ron Rivera shouldn't have got fired.
I 100% agree with that.
Shouldn't have got fired. When it comes down to people playing crappy on a team, it comes down between the coach and the quarterback. And it's just like I said with Bruce Barrett on the Power Sports Hour. By the way, quick shameless plug, that's at 7 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday night on crnsports.org. Replays on all podcast affiliates. There you go. But with that being said, he turned around and they fired Ron Rivera because they said, well, the coach just ain't cutting it no more. He's not playing. He's not coaching to the best of his ability. The coaches and the assistant coaches and the offensive and the defensives and all the players, they can only do the only coaching staff, they can only do but so much to what the players do on the field. If the players are not performing, it makes the entire team look bad. And what's the number one spot in